Yo, what's up, guys? Teacher Paul here, and today we are reacting to this video from Dr. Brian, who is analyzing the injury that Kone, the Canadian football player, sustained. I have just watched the highlights. I couldn't watch the game live yesterday, but such a horrible thing to happen to an athlete, especially during the group stage, especially in a match where Canada was so powerful, so strong. Okay, so if you guys want to watch this original video without my reaction or without my commentary, link is in the description, but come back to see my commentary to his video. Let's check this out. And I think if you are sensitive to strong images, this is your warning to look away.
Our first significant injury of this year's World Cup unfortunately comes for Canada's Ismael Kone here, as he suffered what looks to be a lower leg fracture as a result of this tackle that ultimately ended up in a red card. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Suter, and the goal of the channel is to teach you more about the medical side of the sports world. So the World Cup is in full swing. That means we're going to be covering any injuries that occur. Let's take a look here at what happened with Ismael Kone. Now, you can see pretty clearly from the visuals when he was on the field that this was a serious injury, and this looks to be a fracture of, at a minimum, the tibia, which is the lower shin bone, potentially also the fibula, which is the bone that sits on the outside portion of the lower leg. The big question with these types of fractures is always, is it open or closed? Meaning, did the bone break through the skin? Is the skin open? Because that certainly increases the risk and the severity in terms of possible complications. I will admit, watching this play, it is a very unusual way to suffer a broken leg. Oftentimes when somebody has a broken leg, there's a very significant external force that is falling on the leg from the outside that pushes the leg, the ankle inwards, almost like a high ankle sprain mechanism. And that external force is what's often necessary to cause the tibia to snap. Sometimes
that's what I thought happened. I thought it was a rough tackle. I thought the foot went in as he is explaining, but from the footage that he is showing here, because I couldn't have like a good look, but from what he is showing here, it seems like it was his own weight.
the tibia will snap with a torsional component because the bone is not as strong in torsion, meaning when it's twisted. That's, for example, what happened with Louisville basketball player Kevin Ware. And so this is an odd way to break your leg. We can see as the cutter defender comes through here, he basically just kicks his ankle, and all it took to cause the
he takes his sustained foot off balance.
Break was the cutter player's ankle kind of swinging through and striking Kone on that inner medial portion of his lower legs.
Oh no, wait. So it was his right leg. No, it was his left leg. I thought he fell on his right leg.
So it didn't even really seem to be honestly all that significant of a big external force. Now, the location where the contact is going to occur, at that lower portion of the tibia, there's really not a lot of muscle there. It's essentially skin and bone. If you get hit more on the outside of the leg, there are some muscles there that can help to cushion, to absorb some of the blow. On this inner medial side of the lower leg, there's not muscle there, there's not as much skin and fat there to cushion the blow. And then on the opposite side, where the ankle, the foot is coming in, the top portion of the foot, very strong, rigid bones, not much muscle, not much cushioning. So you really do have this situation where it's kind of bone on bone contact. And that can cause more force to be transmitted, ultimately leading to an injury. I always wonder too in situations.
Yeah, it was a rough tackle. He actually hit him with the shin if you look closely.
Like this, was there something that happened beforehand? Was that bone weak for any reason? I wish that we could kind of see this step before, if there was any contact to his ankle right here, because I think if there was some contact to his left lower leg or to the ankle on this moment of the play, that could have caused some initial weakening, that could have caused some initial injury, potentially causing the then subsequent kind of kick through leg sweep to be more propensity to cause a fracture because of a pre-existing injury. So I don't know if just this kick through in isolation was enough to have done it. I truly do wonder if there was some contact on the ankle right here at this time. But unfortunately, of course, we don't see a replay to really understand if there was any shift or movement position change in that tibia beforehand. As he's on the ground here, you can kind of see that contour where it looks like, Remember, the force was coming in this direction, striking that inner portion of the lower tibia. The bone probably kind of snapped in kind of this direction, so that force comes through.
That's horrible.
And probably what we're seeing right through there is kind of that lower portion of the bone protruding up underneath the skin, hopefully with no actual break in the skin.
Oh my gosh.
The fibula is going to sit more on the outside of the ankle, and so potentially if the force was enough, you could also have a fracture of that fibula, but the tibia is of course what ultimately takes the most priority. Management of this.
The thing I want to know is how. I think it was the hot blood, the adrenaline. He wasn't screaming in pain. He was really just shocked. He was like looking at can you see that? Look at his reaction. He's like, "Oh my gosh." Now, I hope this is not a career-ending injury. I hope it's not. I hope he can recover. But dang, that is horrible. That's harsh. And in the best night of Canada, dude, that was the best performance of Canada that I've ever seen. And that's insane that this happened. What a crazy match, man. Go watch my highlights to see my full reaction on the game itself. But now let's keep going.
Have a fracture of that fibula, but the tibia is of course what ultimately takes the most priority. Management of this is honestly pretty straightforward. If you're on the field and it's a big severe open fracture where like bone is exposed, it's bleeding, it's all dirty from the field or playing conditions, you might take, if you have some antiseptic, and try to kind of wash it out, rinse out some of that large particle mass that might be in there, but you're not gonna like uncover everything, cut off all the clothing, etc. You're gonna just stabilize it as best you can, get it protected. This is probably a vacuum splint where that leg gets wrapped up with this splint. They then suck the air out to conform really nice and tight and secure around the leg. Potentially don't necessarily need to go all the way above the knee, but this might have been all that they had. Remember, really just trying to stabilize the fracture in that lower leg. This is something that I'm assuming this game was not played in the United States. I believe this game was played in Canada because this is a medication that is not going to be used in the United States for pain control. This is something called methoxyflurane. Penthrox is the other name of it. It's people call it the green whistle. And it's basically an inhaled non-opioid, so an inhaled non-narcotic pain medication. This is going to cause some depression within the central nervous system. It's used acutely in the field, but again in non-United States countries, to try and manage acute pain. It has pretty rapid onset. It's very easy to administer, right? The individual can just self-administer by inhaling through this device. So this is an inhaled medication that helps with pain relief because, of course, this is going to be a very, very painful sort of an injury. Now, going forward, of course, this World Cup is over. This is by no means, though, a career-threatening injury. As long as there's no complications.
That's great news. That's great news. But his World Cup is over.
A career full sort of an injury. Now, going forward, of course, his World Cup is over. This is by no means, though, a career-threatening injury. As long as there's no complications, as long as there's nothing that set in like an infection, no significant nerve damage, severe muscle damage, the majority of these should do okay. The majority of these will be treated where a rod is put down through the tibia. So as we look here at the biodigital anatomy tool, of course, this bone is going to be that tibia. That force came in this direction, and so to treat it, oftentimes an intramedullary rod or a nail is passed down through from the knee down into the medullary canal, the tibia, to get all those pieces of the bone back in proper stable position.
He's going to become
oftentimes,
Wolverine.
Nothing needs to be done for the fibula. The fibula is typically left alone. It's generally a non-weight bearing bone and heals pretty well without any sort of fixation. So typically just an intramedullary rod or nail put down through the tibia that typically will stay in place for the rest of his life unless there are some sort of complications. Bone heals pretty well. Soft tissue doesn't heal as well. Nerves don't heal as well. And so if this is an isolated bone injury, yes, of course, his World Cup is over, but by no means is this a career-threatening sort of injury, assuming there are no complications. That's it for the video, everybody. Let me know, as always, any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye. Our first thing.
That was a very well explained video. And my biggest concern going into this was, is his career over? Because he's a very promising player. But no, apparently not. Apparently, considering everything goes well, as he mentioned, no infection, he will be able to play again, which is absolutely great news for everyone. The bad news is that, yes, he got hurt. Yes, he is out of the World Cup. But no, maybe he's not done for life. Maybe he doesn't need to find a new career. We have seen many of these injuries happen before, and many of them come back. Ronaldo, for example, Navarro, definitely made a comeback, even though his knees gave out many times. But anyways, that was something I was really worried about when I saw the highlights, and I wanted to check out the video. So thank you so much to the doctor here. His channel is Dr. Brian Stutter MD. Stutterer. Link is in the description. And guys, we are covering the World Cup here on the channel, so don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and congratulations to Canada for just an amazing performance. See you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.